Estimates suggest that since 2004, more people have arrived in Britain each year than arrived in the entire period between 1066 and 1950. The transformation has been so off the scale that native Brits are now a minority in several major cities. Nigel Farage argued in The Telegraph today that after the Rochdale by-election, everyone can now see that mass migration...
For the past decade, Germany has had a welcoming approach to migrants and asylum seekers. Under Angela Merkel's leadership, Germany admitted a record number of newcomers, taking in over 1 million refugees in 2015 alone. When the current coalition took power in 2021, it seemed they would continue Merkel's pro-migrant stance. Both the Greens and the SPD leaned more to the left than Merkel's Christian Democrats, and their initial manifesto not only promised to keep accepting significant numbers of migrants, but also aimed to pressure EU frontier countries to stop their controversial pushback policies. However, in recent months, Chancellor Olaf Scholz's traffic light coalition has made a sharp turn, introducing new restrictions on migration and advocating for more deportations. In this video, we'll examine Merkel's groundbreaking policy, the shift in the German government's migration policy, and the political reasons behind this change.
Ahmed is on the move. He's heading to the UK. He's running from Germany. Asylum application rejected. A deportation flight like this to Iraq was on the cards. So instead, he fled to France.
I want to go to the UK because I'm afraid of deportation in Germany. Already they try to deport me, and that's why I left.
Ahmed's one of a number of Iraqi Kurds Skies met recently who've paid smugglers to get to the UK after Germany toughened up its deportation rules. His first attempt to cross failed. French police caught them trying to pick up more passengers and popped their dinghy. When we speak to him, he's about to try again.
I'm not afraid about Rwanda or even about crossing the water because I'm looking for a better place to live. If the deportation doesn't stop in Germany, all the refugees in Germany will cross the border to the UK.
Asylum applications in Germany rocketed to their highest rate since 2016 last year. In response, the government announced tougher migration laws, speeding up deportations, giving police more search powers. Outside the Iraqi embassy in Berlin, this group says they're feeling the effects. Deportations have risen by 1/3 so far this year. Many here have been told it's time to leave. Some of my friends have been deported. The police raided the house at 2 or 3 in the morning, Goran tells me. I'm scared and can't sleep in my own home. Do you think people will stay and risk being sent home, or do you think they'll run?
Let's start with a quick recap of Merkel's migration policy. During the European migration crisis in the mid-2010s, Germany accepted 1.5 million asylum seekers, with about 2/3 arriving in 2015. Merkel's slogan, "We can do this," was a response to opposition claims that this influx would be unmanageable for Germany. Although many Germans initially supported the policy, it led to the rise of the right-wing AfD party, which opposed Merkel's open border approach. The AfD, initially focused on the euro and fiscal issues, shifted to an anti-immigration stance, gaining significant electoral success in the 2016 state election and the 2017 federal elections. In 2018, Merkel's government nearly collapsed when the interior minister from her coalition party threatened to resign over his tougher migration stance. Despite this, Merkel's pro-migrant policies prevailed, making Germany one of the most ethnically diverse countries in Europe. The number of foreigners living in Germany grew from 6.8 million to 11.8 million during Merkel's time in office, and 29% of Germans now have an immigrant background, either being immigrants themselves or having an immigrant parent, compared to 18% in 2005.
To another country like France or the UK, for sure the smuggling will increase. People who feel their lives are potentially threatened back in Iraq will try any way possible to reach another country, he says.
So some of them are insulin.
This lady shows us the medicine she relies on, tablets she claims are hard to get in Iraq. She's been told it's safe for her to return home. They know that my country is not safe, she says. I own videos of the killings, robbery and kidnapping of women. The government says the deportations are in line with international law. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
For Hammer, it's too late. Missing the paperwork needed to stay, he was deported to Iraq with this group at the end of April. He's in hiding when we call, so we've concealed his identity.
We were 25 immigrants and 90 policies with us.
How did you feel when you were flying back?
Of course, very bad. It's not safe. I cannot easily go to the outside.
He's now indefinitely separated from his wife, Shada, who was given asylum as an Iranian. She's devastated. Germany says that it needs to control immigration and that there are too many people coming here.
I accept what you're saying, but Germany does not know how to do it fairly.
Shada shows me the pictures of her German wedding. It could be years before the man she loves is allowed to return. Germany's open door period is a distant memory. Siobhan Robbins, Sky News, Germany.
When he succeeded Merkel in 2021, Chancellor Olaf Scholz made it clear that he wasn't a newcomer aiming for drastic changes. Having served as Minister of Finance in the coalition government between Merkel's Christian Democratic Union and his own Social Democratic SPD, he was already well established. The coalition manifesto committed to upholding Germany's humanitarian duties and criticised other European countries, like Italy, for mistreating refugees. This has recently become a point of conflict, with the Italian government criticising Germany for funding NGOs, which they claim have led to capsized migrant boats in the Mediterranean, encouraging irregular immigration. Soon after taking office, Scholz dealt with the Ukrainian refugee crisis in a manner similar to his predecessor. Since February 2022, Germany has welcomed over 1 million Ukrainian asylum seekers. In June this year, the German parliament passed new laws making it easier to come to Germany, including a point-based system similar to Canada's, with lower requirements for education and German language skills. Migrants can now bring their entire families more easily, including spouses, children and parents. This change was largely driven by labour shortages, with businesses urging the government to address the need for workers due to Germany's ageing population.
Here in Germany, the government is meeting this week to discuss new measures to more easily deport migrants whose asylum application was rejected or who have been convicted of certain crimes. It's a controversial topic in some areas of Germany, but not in parts of the East, where the anti-immigration Alternative for Germany is the strongest political party. Many newly arrived migrants there worry that they are no longer welcome.
I came here because of war, and I want to have a safe life here. I'm 100% confident that all the young people here in this centre are tired of the living conditions and the security situation back home. I'm from Syria, and there I wouldn't be able to just stop and speak with you. It's forbidden. This processing centre is located in Eisenhüttenstadt, 2 hours east of Berlin in the former East Germany. The recent European elections saw the right-wing populist Alternative for Germany, or AfD, strengthen its base in the eastern German states after promises to curb irregular migration. Some of the people we spoke to here have lost trust in Chancellor Olaf Scholz and his Social Democratic Party, and have little hope the government will address their concerns.
It's all gone down the drain anyway. Why not just give them a chance and let the AfD have a go? We can't sink any lower anyway, no matter which party. The SPD has had its turn and they've screwed up. Now it's the AfD's turn and now the AfD can give it a shot. We can't sink any lower.
Germany's already been run into the ground.
Yeah, and if we didn't have any hope for the AfD, we wouldn't have voted for them. The other parties have proven time and time again that they were just talking rubbish with all their promises.
Others in Eisenhüttenstadt are more welcoming of migrants and refugees coming to Germany.
Everyone has the right to leave, no question. We want to help people, no question.
Only a few months after relaxing migration laws, Olaf Scholz announced plans to severely restrict them. In a surprising address, after meeting with the country's 16 regional governors, he stated that there were too many migrants entering Germany. The new measures would cut benefits to asylum seekers, make it easier to deport those denied refugee status, and impose tougher sentences on human traffickers. Currently, 28,000 foreigners live in Germany without a valid permit, but 80% of them cannot be deported due to various legal and logistical reasons. These new rules aim to speed up the process. Refugees would no longer receive cash, but would be given special debit cards for use in supermarkets without the option to withdraw money. This change, according to Finance Minister Christian Lindner, is meant to reduce the appeal of the German welfare system. Police would also have expanded powers to search refugee accommodations and access personal digital data to verify identities. Interior Minister Nancy Faeser said that deportations would primarily target those involved in organised crime. Nearly 20,000 rejected asylum seekers are expected to be deported immediately as a result of these measures.
People affected by war, but there must be limits.
Even among refugees who have had their asylum applications approved, Berlin's tough migration stance has garnered some support.
If there is war or any reasonable reason to stay here, yeah, you can stay here, but if anything else, they can deport them.
Germany is governed by the rule of law. Those who abide by the law have nothing to fear and will not be deported. However, those who commit a crime or do drugs need to be deported back to their country. I support this law. Facing a record low approval rating, the German government is coming under increasing pressure to act. According to the head of the Immigration Authority in the state of Brandenburg, where the reception centre is located, raising the number of deportations will go some way to curb migration, but he says it will not be enough. For me, deportations are a mechanism aimed at restoring legal peace for criminals, serious offenders, people who show no willingness to integrate. They need to be deported because our population cannot be persuaded to let them stay and collect welfare benefits. As the debate continues, these refugees and migrants await a decision by German lawmakers about what their future holds.
Let's get more on this with DW political correspondent Matthew Moore. Matthew, good morning. The German government is under pressure on migration quite clearly. How is it going to respond?
Well, we'll get more details in the course of the day, Birish, on how it's really going to tackle this problem, a problem which really, frankly, is number one on the list of voters' concerns, according to polls in recent weeks. And essentially...
To be fair to the government, they argue that this isn't really a U-turn. The relaxation of immigration laws in June was about legal migration, while the recent crackdown targets illegal migration. This aligns with their manifesto, which promised to reduce illegal migration while encouraging legal migration. However, it is clearly a change in tone, quite different from Merkel's "we can do this." What caused this shift? There are a few reasons. First, accommodating many migrants has proven challenging. The number of asylum applications has grown rapidly, rising by about 73% this year alone, with shelters full and regional authorities saying the costs are unsustainable. The bigger pressure seems to be political. The Alternative for Germany, AfD, the main anti-immigration party since Merkel's rule, is enjoying record high support. Currently, the party polls at an average of 21%, above Scholz's SPD at 16%. Recent regional elections in Bavaria and Hesse confirm this trend, with big gains for the AfD, while the government coalition lost voters. Additionally, the CDU, now leading the polls at 29%, has shifted significantly to the right on this issue. In 2022, it elected Friedrich Merz, a staunch conservative opposed to Merkel's policies, who even suggested removing the right to asylum from the German constitution. As leader of the opposition, Merz urged the government to speed up deportations in September.
What the state leaders want, who are meeting with Chancellor Olaf Scholz today, what they're saying the solution, really the headline solution is for the German government to look at third country solutions. That is what we considered Rwanda solution, the Rwanda deal that the UK has, or the Albania deal that Italy has. That is essentially to process asylum applications outside of Germany. They say that works for two reasons. It acts as a deterrent to people. They know that they can't just come to Germany and get asylum straight away. But they also say that that deals with this problem that Germany has, which is of deporting failed asylum seekers. I think last year Germany managed to deport around 12% of the people who had their asylum applications rejected. The rest of those people, they stay. It takes something like 2.5 years to deport people. And everyone in the political mainstream says that Germany needs to get a grip on this. And this is seen as one way of doing that, because if your application is rejected, then you simply have to, then that's the problem of the third country. Now, critics, on the other hand, say there's a big problem with that. It takes years to negotiate these deals, and it's a kind of pseudo solution. It doesn't really work because there's no proof that it actually acts as a deterrent. However, you just see the kind of the pressure on the government. The government says we've got the EU asylum package, and we should let that, give that time to work. We should strengthen our borders and try to help those countries economically where the migrants are coming from to try and deal with this.
And we also heard in that report, Matthew, that some people want asylum seekers who've been convicted of crimes to be deported. Is that viable?
It's possible, but it's very tricky. I mean, in recent weeks, we've had a really kind of turbocharged debate about this, about getting criminals who've come from often Syria or Afghanistan, because that's where the vast majority of asylum applicants come from to Germany, about those who have criminal records or are considered dangerous, about how Germany can deport them back. At the moment, Germany has a ban, a self-imposed ban on deporting to Syria and Afghanistan. And that's because these countries are considered unsafe because they have human rights abuses throughout. And so the government says they want to look at this and that they're trying to deal with it and get a grip on it. But ultimately, it's very, very difficult. They're going to reassess these kind of assessments that they make on where countries are safe, countries of origin that are safe and which are not, to see if there is a way that they can justify deporting and sending criminals back to Syria and Afghanistan in the case of Germany. But it's not easy because of human rights concerns in those places.
We'll leave it there for the moment. DW political correspondent Matthew Moore, thanks so much.
The success of the AfD and CDU reflects German public opinion. A recent Deutschland Trend survey found that 64% of respondents believe immigration doesn't benefit Germany, including a plurality of voters from all parties except the Greens. The final trigger for this shift seems to be the renewed conflict between Israel and Hamas. Germany has seen about 200 anti-Semitic incidents since the invasion on October the 7th, which the authorities take very seriously.
The numbers of asylum seekers are very high, and every country, or almost every country, at least in Western Europe, tried to help the situation. The situation in Eastern Germany, I well do understand. They are just coming out of the socialism and of the ruins of socialism, and they are afraid of having new problems, just having solved the worst problems ever they had now. So this is more a situation of the rich Western European countries, and as far as I can see, most of them have their burden already and have their refugees. And the situation of Germany, and it's especially, is that Germany simply does not control in any way. It is not about closing the borders with a fence. It is just to get those people who are on the way to Germany and to the rest of Europe, by the way, to get those people identified, to know who is it, who is coming. And at the moment, we have at least 300 to 400,000 people whose identification is not done. So we have a large number of really illegal people, which is not always due to the people they are not bad people, but the situation is out of control. Germany did not control its borders in a proper way, and now it loses control in its cities.
I just want to say that the fact that the amount of refugees to Europe, I mean, it would be possible to handle the situation if the countries were sharing the burden more equally, because it's not true. I mean, UK has taken a couple of thousand of refugees, France, almost none. There is an extreme inequality in the number of refugees taken by different countries. And I think that this shows, I want to go back to it, that maybe the European values that were part of the creation of European, maybe they're not shared by all the European countries, because what we're seeing also, the discourse from some of the Eastern European leaders, for example, are not, I think, what we should see from European leaders. So maybe this only brings up to surface differences within the European Union. It's always been there, and that
President Frank-Walter Steinmeier suggested that German Arabs should denounce Hamas, and the Interior Ministry banned the pro-Palestine group over alleged links to Hamas. This has created skepticism among the German public and political class about migration integration and concerns that large migrant populations can cause domestic unrest during international crises. Whether this shift represents a permanent change in Germany's attitude toward migration or just a temporary response remains to be seen. So what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe for more.